Yahoo! Prof here, and we're starting in the dark. We gotta get everything kicked off because it is time for me to be sitting down because I have to go into work tomorrow. And not only that, I have to get up early and get to the post office before work, which means probably about another half hour. Yeah, Peter. Yeah, you tell everybody you're rambunctious and you had to eat Gertrude's food today. Yeah, she cried at the door until she got let in to eat what was left of that. Mew, 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 right? Like that. Alright, so here, there's Gertrude. Hey, Gertrude, Ophelia. And there's Paisley. You guys are going to have a video on big order from Home Depot. Probably just waiting for everything to come in. That is one of the pack-out pieces that if you've seen my previous pack-out content, that it has been on my list. And specifically for shit like this. I do wish it had a handle. Maybe somebody makes one out there for this. You know, like so you like flip it up and pick it up. And it's got the ones here. It's got the one on the side. But yeah, here's something crazy. That's a router, right? So you gotta check out that video. That's a router, free. How? As my mom said, how can they do that? This is why, unless you need it for a specific project immediately, you do not buy power tools outside of holiday sales. Specifically outside of Black Friday. Or they basically do it all in November. Same thing, Herman Miller. I love my Aeron. Got it in 26. It's going on 10 years old, little buddy. I think I got it in 2016. I did get that in their May sale, which is right around my birthday, as a present myself. Finally fixed that. Actually, really helped in fixing my back issues. Not that you need to get an Aeron. My recommendation would be go to a store that sells all different kinds of high-end chairs. Yeah, these would normally go in for, I think, just under $1,000 at the time. 600 something bucks for mine. I believe Preston did the same. I don't know that he got as good of a deal. But Herman Miller generally only has, I think it had 30% off, if I recall correctly, 30 or 35. I don't know if they go that big anymore, but traditionally they only have 2 big sales a year. Black Friday and somewhere around in May. So, and power tools, like I said, if you know, if you can wait on something, wait, because like you'll get a smashing deal on it around the holidays. Or even if you don't get a price off, it'll be like, okay, but we'll give you 2 free batteries. Or when we bought batteries, it'd be like, oh, you buy 2 8-amp hours, you get 2 3-amp hours for free. And there was a discount on the 2 8-amp hours. Like it is just like they're giving the shit away. Now I will admit, I want the new Milwaukee blower. That is brand new. There is no discount on it. So just keep like that sort of thing in mind. Is that obviously if a tool just came out, they're not going to discount it. The other piece of pack out that I've been keeping an eye on that a lot of you know about, though it came out this year and was highly coveted to the point where you can't do, I ordered for in-store pickup. You can't do that with this part. It was discounted and part of the discount thing. Now, it wasn't a very big one because they know they can get big bucks for it since it's brand new. But it was still discounted, which I found surprising. If you guys haven't seen my video on not that GameCube controller, not this GameCube controller, but the GC Ultimate, check it out. I did use this. It's paired up to my Switch right now. the one thing I'm going to have to do is actually remap the controller. Because right now A, B, Y, X, right? Well, a lot of, I'm playing Hyrule Warriors right now, a lot of that is Y, 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 or Y, X, X, Y, 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 X, Y, Y. I just want that to be A and B. Right? And then, you got your jump for A and your roll for B. Jump, roll, jump, roll. So I just got to flip, basically just swap A and B and X and Y, specifically for Hyrule Warriors. On older Hyrule Warriors, they were actually swapped. But the new one's made for, I don't know if it's made for Switch or Switch 2, but you know, it's definitely not made for GameCube. So I just got to flip them, and then, you know, A, B. A, B, B, B. A, B. Also, in the latest Hyrule Warriors, they kind of did bring back the classic. Remember I said it was almost like a fighter where you could do like any combinations of like light and heavy attacks. Like it could be light, heavy, like there could be multiple heavies. Whereas in previous, even in Dynasty Warriors, they limited it to light, like it'd be light, heavy, light, light, heavy, light, 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 heavy, like that sort of thing. There's now like modifiers where you can do doubles or hold it. Good job. Good job. I might not like that Zelda's the main. You're like, oh, you don't like female. No, no, no. They say she has a blade. She's effectively magic. I basically don't use her unless I have to. And because she's the main character, they make you have to. Yeah. So that's my next task, is to figure out how to reprogram this, because playing with these two mainly in a game is not all that fun. And you know, like say in say if you played like Melee or something like that, that's your main, that's your special, and then that's your jump. That's also your jump. So I can just reprogram, and I'll have to do it on the controller. What I haven't found out is, now I know how to start this up. Like if you want the Switch, Xbox, you hold X, right, and you power it up. I believe Switch is Y, powered up. And then there's Xbox mode only works wired. Makes sense. Now there is a mode where it's like Steam compatible mode. I forget which button that is. I'm gonna have to probably print out a little cheat sheet. And what's really cool is that's 1000 hertz wireless capable, even though it's Bluetooth. Unsure. I gotta look more into that, but I'm glad it is at least capable. Unless it requires an Xbox controller in Windows, then you'd have to do wired. Otherwise, that thing should work. And obviously, I think there's only 2 wireless Xbox Series controllers now that are like wireless. It's they're all like 200 plus. I mean, like, not that was cheap. It wasn't. But yeah, so we've got a lot of extra cables here, so I can make that thing compatible with just about anything I want. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, I forgot that was coming. Okay, it said this was open box. That is definitely reopened. Glore Trends. Let's grab the letter opener here. You're like, what the fuck is Glore Trends? I don't know either. Nobody online seems to know. They barely, if at all, have a website presence. This has definitely been cut before. What it is, though, is for one of my, well, it's not technically for a server, it's for my repair PC over there that is technically running Unraid. It is running Unraid. And what I need to be able to do is pass through USB devices into the Windows VM that is running on Unraid. Like, so there's a VM, and then that VM boots directly off of NVMe as if it's like a local computer, but then Unraid's kind of like running as the hypervisor in the background, right? So I need to be able to pass not just a USB device through, like as in like your mouse or your keyboard. I can do that, right? The issue comes in when I want to be able to pass through a device that is not yet plugged in. And I actually don't want, because I want to be able to format it, I want to be able to interface with it directly. I want to pass basically the controller through. Now, that's running a very low-end X570 board. It's the TUKK X570 plus Wi-Fi. Like it's the only one Asus hasn't updated for the TPM firmware. I have to get on them about that. But how it's done, as far as I can tell, all of the USB there is off of the CPU. Maybe, I mean, some might be off of the X570 chipset, but it's all, like, there's no third-party controllers on it. Normally, if you had, like, a third-party USB 3.1 or something, you would just pass that through, and you know, okay, these are the ports I have to use. Because it's such a low end, like, I have B550, B450 motherboards with more features than this X570 board. There isn't anything to, because basically anything is either attached to the chipset or the CPU directly. If I pass those through, it's going to cause issues for Unraid, since those are like core system devices. So what I bought was, and you're like, well, why'd you get an open box one? Because it's either going to work or it's not. Is this Glor Trends? It has to use a specific chipset in here. I think it's the 3132 or 3. Here you go. It says right on the thing here, 3142 by 1. U3142 by 1. And what that means, the 3142 is the 10 gigabit USB chipset. You can get them in USB A or C. I would have preferred 1A, 1C. This one was very specific, though, because I need a PCIe 1X slot. And I have 2 available because of how that board is laid out. It's rather annoying. So, but if this works, I will probably buy a second one. That way I can have 4 ports that I can pass through to the VM. And I got this, normally these are $30. I got it for 23 as an open box. So as long as it works, no issue there. Now, somebody might be like, oh, can you actually get 10 gigabit through there with, 3.1? Well, if we could do PCI Express Gen 4, we could. However, and I looked this up, the 3142 chipset is only a PCIe 3 chipset. There is a updated one that's a PCIe 4 chipset, but it is a PCIe 4.0 by 4. It's way faster, more ports, etc. That's not what I needed, though. However, this will do 8 gigabits, which is still better. It actually has USB-C support, right? And it has proper USB 3.1 Gen 2 support. You know, even though it is only going to do 8 gigabits, it's at least going to connect at that properly, which is better than nothing. And I can add it as a 1X slot. Whereas most of these, even with this chip, are generally a 4X. Which, you know, as I stated, I can't use because it will not fit. So that is why that is in there. I need to shut down the server over there, put this in, and then try and pass it through. You know, grab an external SSD, a USB-C external SSD, and plug it in and see if, ideally, if I plug it into this, my hypervisor, my Unraid server OS doesn't see it, because this entire card can just be passed through. Well, technically the controller chip on the card is going to get passed through to my virtual machine. Ta-da! You know, and this Glor Trends, or Glow Trends, I keep saying Glor for some reason. Glow Trends, no, it's Glow Trends, was the only one that had a 1X. There were some generic versions of this. I'm 99% sure they are just rebadging that. What do we got in here? Oh, a busted open Skill Hunt headband. I did order multiple of these, and they got canceled. I said I could order 3, and 2 got canceled, and that mold looks like the chewiest mold ever. There is so much, I think it's called flashing on that mold. Holy hell. I'm gonna have to get the X-Acto out to use this damn thing. It's actually sharp here too. You can see there, like where it came out of the mold, right there. And then in these corners, there's all this extra, like it's like it never went through to get that trimmed off. Well, at least I got one. I'll keep my eye out for when they come back in stock. Somebody's been in this one. There's like a corner of the fucking box missing. HB3. That's the one you want, though, is the HB3. As long as you have an 18650. If you've got a 21700 or whatever the smaller size is, you might need the HB4. But in my opinion, or I mean, realistically, if you are just going to use this strap on your existing mount, you could get any of them, really. It just matters more if you're going to use the clip that comes in it, because I think the newer clip is worse. They claim it's got all these extra features. I claim that those features are worse. Like, as in, you've added things to add things, but it actually sucks and falls apart and is all wobbly, which it didn't used to be. Granted, I did have to add an O-ring. Now, this is what this video is actually all about, is this container here. And there's a reason why we are using this knife. I'm actually somewhat glad that I didn't put these away. So this may be a replay. Some of you guys are going to be like, I feel like I'm having deja vu. There's a good chance you will feel like you're having deja vu. But that is why I brought the yellow knife out to do this video here. I forgot I got that. Okay, that's my bill. Oh, added a couple MQRs. Hell yeah. I didn't even remember ordering them. That's why I was like, I think I mentioned I didn't have any of the new design. I didn't have any of the MQR Gen 2s. So I got an MQR brass, an MQR copper. I used to rock those until I got my titaniums. So they sent over 2 MQRs here. Okay, we got our stonewash clip, if you'll remember why, right there. Ooh, dickety dog, look at that guy. Like, it looks plainer than this. Yes, yes it does, because it's one of 3 colorways that were available. Okay, what else we got in here? We got a loop right there. Loopy doop. We got another loop, which is correct, because what I want to do, I need to get longer screws, right? Because I want to put both the loop and the clip, so that little part will stick up like that, and then I can put a lanyard in it. Just a little bit of lanyard, just to more easily pull it out of the old pocket. We got tactile turn, or tactical keychains. Sorry, not tactile turn. They're on my brains. If you haven't checked that out, they sent over this prototype of the seasonal, the Vice Night seasonal prototype of that. So go and check that video out. That's part of the reason why they're on my brain. The other reason is because I was rocking the Anzo again today. Listen to this click. It's a solid click there. Knew this was showing up though. Also keep an eye out. The new seasonal should be coming from Tactile Turn if you guys are into this sort of EDC everyday carry stuff. I got some more stickers. And you might have seen this. TK slide. I got that last time as well. I'm like, why'd you get another one? Well, basically, in order to get a discount, and it was a 50% discount, if I recall correctly, you had to order, like, they had, like, leftovers, right? Previously, I picked up and this guy was already considering getting it, as I said, but I'd already gotten 2 knives, in this yellow, and I was like, I don't know. But I picked it up because it allowed me to get this guy. Now, the original colors were the splatter yellow, splatter pink, and black. And this black is not black Cerakote. It is black anodized. And that's why this is going to be my main... you've seen me recommend it in videos before. I think as an everyday knife, now granted this is going to be my everyday carry because I carry yellow. But as a durable piece, here you can see on this, the yellow is actually coming off a little bit onto the blade. Pull it more, you'll see more and more and more. The anodized is, I think, a better knife to daily drive, personally. But the reason I got this slide was to get 50% off this guy. Basically, if you did this combo, you got both of these, I think, for less than one of these. Excuse me. It was a real good deal, okay? And I may have read the color. If so, that's cheating. Because this is also another color that I quite enjoy. There you go. You guys are like, what do you mean? Yes. What's my main knife? At least at home. My everyday carry might be yellow, but this smooth orange, hunter orange Cerakote is my go-to at home. And I knew it was going to be. There were some trials and tribulations to get this. Look at how matte that is. Oh, beautiful. So, there you go. It's like camouflage. And for those wondering how Cerakote wears, you can see on this leading edge where I cut a lot with this. That's what you're going to kind of see. And then if you look around here where I actuate with my fingy, you're seeing some wear there. If you look at anybody who has a Cerakoted gun, you'll see similar, or Cerakoted pew-pew. You'll notice similar wear on the hard edges. That can also happen on anodized, but because the anodized is like a hardened surface, like basically they remove with acid a very small amount and they build it back up when they anodize it, at least with aluminum. Generally you get a harder surface, especially like this is, I think this is a type 2 anodized is probably what this is. You can get harder type 3, which takes more away when they do it, but then builds up an even harder oxidized surface. Now this guy seems pretty flat. Last time we had a foot that we had to do some surgery on. I think we're good this time. You can't even tell which foot that was. Look at that. Yeah. You guys wonder why I have so many scissors, why I have so many tools? Well, we need to cut around something rounded and precisely and sharply, and like I said, you can't even tell which foot that was. That's how well it did it. And am I going to use these as intended? Like as in, I mean, they're supposed to take the TUKK, the standard TUKK XL or HD, like that. No, because I don't have a junior and an XL and one of the pens for that. I'm probably going to use this more as like a parts tray. So the bigger reason to pick these up was because of the huge discount on these. Also, when you did this, You may be seeing other videos on the TK stash, or what I call the TUKK XXL. But not saying it's impossible, but basically in order to get the first batch of these, you had to help them move their like leftover product. Let's call it that. Because this was like a big drop with a lot of their yellow splatter. I think their yellow splatter did well. The reason why you guys didn't see me buy a yellow splatter, I don't remember, I think they had an HD or an XL or something like that, is because I just bought just the straight yellow HD. And maybe a year prior or so, I had bought the just yellow XL. Now, here I'll talk directly to Tactical Keychains here. If you guys go with more of a orange yellow, like say you go for this Corvette yellow, right? Because this one's pretty pale, right, by comparison. Or if you go, where's my trackball? Even further, right? Because that's like more of a Corvette yellow. What I want is often called like sunburst yellow. Here, like my trackball here, where it's like an orange, a yellow tinted orange. Or here's my iPod. Yeah, make me that. I'll buy one of every, like one Junior, one XL, one HD, one stash, one pen, one tray. Maybe multiple. Yeah, if we go a little bit more orange on that yellow. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, this Corvette yellow is real nice as well. It's really yellow. And that's why, even though the HD and the XL that are they're like more in this range, I even have the Junior. That's even paler one, I think. They are yellow still though, and I had to pick them up. But I would, like I said, a little bit more warmer of a yellow. Do I have any? I don't think I have any of those sticky notes readily accessible. Yeah, my full sticky notes were that color as well. Can't get them anymore though. Oh, here you can see them because I use them for labeling too. Here's my Pokemon boxes. They're labeled. There you go. See, I think that's not the canary yellow. It's something else. But it's just like sort of these dragon skins, similar color. I'd say, like, to be truthful, the DeWalt, that's even a little bit more orange. Wouldn't mind that either. See, I'm not too picky. You can see my yellow snap-on in there. That thing's rare enough as is. Here's my yellow custom LTT screwdriver. So, yeah, something a little bit warmer. Let's take a crack at this guy. But yeah, I really appreciate Tactical Keychains. I will use these MQRs. For those that haven't seen my EDC, well, here's half of one that I lost once. There used to be a flashlight on the other end of this. I need a bigger, you can tell I need a slightly bigger
These are titanium O-rings. This one's actually a titanium O-ring too, but I got my white junior on here. These are all kind of my previous. Everybody carries this. Is this dual tone blue and gold. I still think this looks better than my yellow one. Because I have a yellow splatter WTF wrench that fits. Then here's my. You can tell how much I use this guy. That used to be a rainbow. This thing got retired because it's steel. You're like, oh, you have to have titanium. Well, the problem is that this is a magnet. So it would always ding and like cause which is weird shit to occur. We got older flash drives. I switched to SSD, but that's just like the remnants of old EDC. My current setup, which a lot of people call my utility belt, like Batman, except smaller. Right here would be my, that's just the cap from the SSD because it's plugged in right now. Then we've got yellow splatter wrench that fits. So I did buy something from that drop, prior to this guy or the tray. And then this is the only good smaller bottle opener that I've found previously. I think the other one I had was a Kershaw. It was always like they put too much on the prying aspect of it, and so the actual like your leverage was too short. This thing works good. James brand, really nice. So that's on there. So I did buy from the splatter lineup. I just didn't buy any of the knives because I already had the standard non-splatter yellow. We're rocking a mini Matarack flashlight made out of two different ones because normally this sort of head, this right angle head, doesn't come with the button. So I had to kind of mash two of them together. Yeah, this is what I lost. These are titanium MQRs. And then we've got a junior. And you can see this thing's been around the block a bit. Yeah, somehow the white. This guy was on my keys. Maybe not as long now. But yeah, you can see this. For some reason, this white held up really friggin' well. And that brass loop was just an extra I happened to have. I think they were out of loops at the time. So I happen to have an extra brass loop for some reason. Actually looks good with the white, I think. That's kind of my backup EDC. But yeah, this guy's gotten, he's always on my keys, it gets beat up. But it's nice having a X-Acto. And you have to use it's not technically an X-Acto anymore, it's Excel blades. Because X-Acto themselves sold out to freaking China, moved its manufacturing to China, and then changed the hole that all their blades use. So you have to buy new tools and shit. Luckily, Exact Blades in the US said, fuck you guys, we're making blades. So sadly, I can't get the really good Z series X-Acto blades anymore because they don't fit my stuff. And I really like, I actually was one of the people that tested those way back in the day because they went to some multiple hobby forums. One of the ones they went to was Geekhack. Because with like modding keyboards and stuff and keycaps, you would have to do those precise cuts. And after getting like a trial, I think it was like a 5-pack or a 10-pack, that was like literally all I bought. And then as I kind of fell out of that like hobby slash community, I mean, it was a solved thing. And realistically, in 10 years, all they've added was the gasket mount, which I really like the gasket mount. I'm just saying that, like, after a certain point, like, I mean, when we're building your keyboard from scratch, like where we're designing PCBs, there's not much. And then there's a lot of aftermarket switches, but like, it's all gotten easier even. Like, you can do it without tools a lot of the time now. And I always was one of those people that, like, I have no reason to keep swapping switches around and stuff. I found my one in it's so smooth. So smooth. 2x this. So this is TK Stash Black Anodized. It is the third variant. There was a pink splatter, obviously a yellow splatter, and a black anodized. And what I wanted to do was obviously yellow for my everyday carry, because all my stuff's yellow. Everybody knows that by now. Also makes it easier to find when you set it down, right? Bright. But I personally think the anodized just looks stupid clean, super nice, right? And these tend to slide better. Like the action is better because this is a harder material and you're not taking off. Like you saw some of the yellow. As this wears in, you basically, like there's Cerakote on the inside and you're just rubbing Cerakote off. Now I did ask them, and I'm not even gonna try, because the screws that come with the, oh, they're longer. Oh, maybe I will try them. Okay, those are longer. Okay, we are gonna try that because this is a stonewash clip. Last time with this, the screws that came with the clip exactly made it so they didn't interfere with the blades. My worry with the ones that long is that maybe they will interfere with the internal blades, but that is because this, I believe, the loop is designed for the juniors, and the juniors are actually held together. Oh, we can grab that one white one, or we can grab my backup yellow. Here, you guys want to know what a decent, not daily driven yellow looks like? There you go. So the reason why these are longer on the loop side is that on the junior, these two screws actually hold it together. So then not only are they going into this side, but then when you add a loop, they're no longer recessed, right? Like this. And they have to go through the loop. So that's why they're a longer so I can show you what X-Acto did. So this is the original X-Acto hole, right? The new hole is about half that size, or maybe 2/3 of it, and then it's shifted to a different spot. I don't know if it's shifted up or down, but what that means is if you have anything, like I know my dad has X-Acto tools and even like a sort of like an X-Acto table saw that takes these, or like a router, I guess maybe. A lot of that stuff will not fit these, will fit this blade, because this is a exact blade, right? So it's made to fit that older design. But their own stuff won't. So, but that's why it's longer. So here's what we have to hope for, though. And this is why this one's the backup one and actually got replaced by Tactical Keychains. It does not advance every time you push it. And they could not figure out what was wrong with it. Like I took it apart to see if it was rubbing someplace weird. It's just, you have to, when you advance it, like really give her. And even then it's inconsistent. That's why it's at the desk, basically. I am willing to futz with it. Or it's at the workbench, I should say. But I'm willing to futz with it a little bit. Because it's still usable. See, again with the... If I went and grabbed the one off my keys... Oh yeah, if you hold it sideways, it works every time. If you hold it this way. Maybe not every time. Works more often when you do it sideways like that, which is weird. Like I said, we never did figure out what was going on with that guy. All right. So these, you can tell, are longer than those. Now, the question is that too long? So that goes like that. That goes like that. This is steel. It's attracting to the magnet. All right. And if that works, I will be swapping that out on this guy right away as well. And I have my paracord. Not that I'm going to do that tonight, but I have my paracord right there. Nice, it was like golden rod, I think. That's something I'm surprised Tactical Keychains and a bunch of other brands don't do more of, is the paracord beads. Like, they gotta be pretty simple to smash out. You need the little tiny guy. You either need, this is 0.05 inch, or you need the one smaller than this one that I don't have, which is, this is 1.5. You need a 1 millimeter, which Linus Tech Tips didn't ship, but I love using this little guy, the little stubby LTT screwdriver. I just like, because it's got, you got some more in your hand, but then you can still manipulate this because of the knurling. As much as apparently the big screwdriver has sold a lot better for Linus Tech Tips. I mean, I have however many. I got the clear one too. If they made a clear purple, I'd probably buy one. I just have one of those everywhere now. I think the stubby is a better product because their standard one is kind of, it's not like based off of, but they, like, it's its own thing. But there were, like, the Snap-on was a good screwdriver, expensive, but good. Mega Pro, the company they worked with that they got their ratcheting mechanism from, that they then modified, I think they said they might have even modified it. I think it says like made in Canada on it, and they applied for a bunch of that stuff now. But that was like originally a Mega Pro design. So like Mega Pro makes a though chunky, by comparison chunky, and like nowhere near as nice, I think, overall build. Like, it was still a decent screwdriver, right? Still screwed and drived. Whereas the stubby, there are very few good stubby screwdrivers out there. Yep, that's poking through. So we're gonna try these short guys and see if they'll work in the meantime. I'm probably, if they only work in the meantime, I'm probably not gonna swap them out on this guy until we know. So I basically need a size in between these two, more than likely. And I did message them about this, but it was like yesterday. I saw this was coming in. I was like, oh, hey, do you happen to know which size, like if I wanted to stack these? And that's basically what I'm trying to do, is I want that little hook there. That way I can put a lanyard through there, right? And I don't know what these lengths are, if there's even a size in between the two of them. I'm sure these shorter ones will work. Remember how I was worried that they'd be too long and protrude through on this one? Because my later, yeah, there's even more of these coming. They made them such a good deal that I couldn't pass them up. Those actually have these didn't have clips that were for the stash, the TK stash here, right? These were just their normal clips, whereas once they came out with like the brass variant, they actually had an option when buying the clip for the stash specifically. I'm not sure if the length of screws changed or anything, you know. I grab my flashlight. I mean, it seems to work. Probably before I convert this guy, though. I'm going to wait to hear back from him. Just because, like, if it just cleared on this one, like, as in, these screws ended up being flush with the blades. Like, you know, like perfect fit, basically. That means they really should be a little bit longer for this combo that's going on here. A little tweak. The other thing that I might want to see is an updated clip where you actually have a hole through the top here, kind of like this guy, like my Streamlight. That's for putting the lanyard through. Basically, then you can just push the lanyard through, loop it over this, and it just comes out the top of the hole right there, rather than having to have this separate loop. For now, we won't be putting that second clip on my yellow one. Gertrude's here. Hey, Gertrude. How are you? Yeah, I know. We're getting on almost 3 o'clock, so we gotta get done and go to sleep and stuff, right? Yeah, we gotta get going to work tomorrow. Well, you guys saw the MQRs, so I don't know that there's a need to open them. This one is a copper, and this one is a brass. My old setup, actually, because I don't, previously, before the current owners of Tactical Keychains, Brad had not done titanium for a long time. So then once he finally did, like, I only had the one titanium that you saw that I made half of now. I also have a half of a brass or a copper someplace. I actually went copper brass. Because you, like, when you put them on my utility belt like that, you actually have to reverse the polarities. Otherwise, they'll want to snap wherever. Whereas if you and they want to push away from each other. Whereas if you alternate, they kind of want to stick together in a little bunch, which is much more convenient. So we're going to keep these screws. We're going to keep this clip. So I basically need whatever screw is between the ones that come with the clip and the ones that come with the loop. I need the size in between there. Whatever. I mean, I could get the calipers out and measure it. We're not doing that right now. Otherwise, they may just tell me if they actually know what it is, which would save me time. Hey, Gertrude, you're back again? How's Gertrude? Yeah, we gotta put blades in here, Gertrude. All right, get your DeWalt carbides. I prefer using the Fiskars, but we can't because they have the hole in the middle, and this mechanism does not like that. The other ones that I'm considering trying are Exact Blades now makes standard utility blades. I bought their single edge, what are those called, razor blades, before, and I bought their fuck, what am I gonna call them? They're X-Acto replacements, right? Oh, I can see cat barf from here. Lovely. Gertrude, was that what I heard earlier? Was Paisley doing that? I don't think it was her, because Gertrude was over in a cat bed. Yeah, Exact Blades has high carbon steel titanium nitride, which I may buy a pack of and give a shot, especially because made in the USA. And I like that Exact Blades, you know. You might even be able to hear the tone between that and right, and it's much sharper, and it's sharper, but then it also has like more to it. And I think that's because it's a harder finish. Not that Cerakote's bad. It's pretty. You can do a lot more designs with it. Gertrude, I have to get 2 more blades out. Yeah, are you gonna let me? Yeah, because I gotta put the blades in the butt. Yeah, this knife has butt blades. Yeah, it does. And you just want to sit with me, don't you? Can I put you in my lap? Maybe? Oh, Gertrude, can I put you in my lap? Yeah. Yeah, I'll be done momentarily. So that is the whole point. That's what's in the stash name of the TK stash, is the fact that you can put 2 blades in. Gertrude, yeah, you're gonna cause issues. I have very sharp objects here, and I don't want the granny kitty to get hurt. I really don't. And you've been rubbing on my little microfiber I use for cleaning off. Running. This is an older microfiber that's been through the wash at least once, if not multiple times. I can usually tell because I cut, at least I used to. I don't know that I do anymore. But I cut the tag off. That's how I know it's like a used one. And then I used this because this really soaks up. These ship with like a little bit of grease on them. In the TUKK mechanism, having that grease on there just makes you slip. So if this blade is this way, you can't, the ones that go in the butt go the other way. So they go like that. And then normally what I do is I actually use the blade that's in the tip to poke them all the way into the butt. So these come with, if Gertrude's gonna let me show it, you see that sheen on there? That's just a little bit of oil so they don't rust in storage. Now you even may want to wait. I'm wiping it off for the ones that go in the butt as well. Those then may rust a little bit. You may want to leave the little bit of oil because you're not trying to use them when they're in the butt there, right? And it's backside. If you're vomiting because of the vibration of the camera, I have no control over that. That is the granny kitty. Granny kitty does what granny kitty wants, and she's rubbing her face on the camera. So you may want to leave the oil on there, so that the blades don't rust. But what I do then is you take this blade, flip it over the way that it would be in the front here, and you use that to seat these other 2. How do you get it out? There's 2 slots on the back there, on either side, push down, one comes out. Once you get that one out, you can push down on the other slot and get the other one out. The big thing though for me was make sure, because these are available in lefty and righty, you do have to specify when you order, but if you put these in the same way, you actually saw me poke myself, if you put this in this way, right, like that, basically it's too long, and you retracting this pushes that out and goes right in your palm. And on brand new, very sharp blades, that's unpleasant, just as a heads up. Right. I just usually take that one out and push this guy in. Like that, see? Ta-da! Fully seated. Originally, Brad was thinking, because he still designed this one for tactical keychains, he was trying to put 3 in there. But there's magnets on either side, right? There's magnets on both sides of this. With 3, there's actually nothing directly touching the blade. So you could take this and go, whatow! And you would basically fling out the middle blade as like a weapon. And he's like, maybe I'll leave that as is. So I got to figure out how I want to do the lanyard on this guy now. Obviously, I'm going to do a loop-de-loop. I don't know which way. And then put some sort of a lanyard bead on it, more than likely. But yeah, this guy feels, in my opinion, even though it's brand new, smoother. Like this feels like just not as smooth and a little bit more muffled. And we'll see how these shorter screws hold up. Otherwise, I might hear back from Tactical Keychains in the meantime. Or I will get the calipers out, measure their length. That would not be including the head, right? So I would probably have to measure the length of the screw and then measure the head of the screw and then subtract the head and figure out what length they are. And then go in the middle, bang in the middle, so that I can actually do this with the correct amount of length of thread. And all I want is a little bit, just like that much, so that when it's in your back pocket or your side pocket, you can just pull it out real easy, you know, pow. So I think the standard stonewashed looks quite good on the black here. Very simple, very clean. And like I said, I've always thought, as cool as a lot of these look, I have some really freaking cool looking HDs and XLs. If you want one for everyday use, an anodized aluminum is the way to go. The other thing that you get, if you get like the copper, and I'm partial to the copper ones, is the carbide, the hardened steel and the carbide blades and the high carbon steel. They're actually harder than the copper, and they actually wear out the knife far quicker, right? Because technically speaking, the hardened steel is harder than the aluminum, right? But with that anodizing on there, it does a lot of heavy lifting for it. But with that copper, I've had 3 now, I believe. And as much as those were usually the ones at my desk, they were never the well, my original one did very heavy lifting, and there's a reason why the design of that was changed. Like basically there's now like set screws in here rather than, they used to like mill a little nub. That got changed because of that, I believe, not because of mine, but other people had experiences with the softer metals. And then the titanium, which I did a very small run of, had a different size material, like thickness, and all the dimensions tend to get screwy. That happens with the copper and brass ones as well at times. Because if you don't start with the same size and say you don't face it down or mill it down to the expected size that the aluminum was, or adjust the thing, it can get a little screwy. So at least from my experience, the most reliable, like I have my I'll go grab it. I have my green anodized that was from the last batch that Brad did. And, oh my god. That looks fresh. There you go. It was in a Best Buy parking lot for 9 hours in a puddle. One of those divots that happen when people park their cars, so it's getting driven over, you know, multiple cars overnight. This was flat against the back. I had to pry it all the way up over and back to unscrew it. Brad at the time was so impressed that he actually sent me a replacement clip that is the one on here, because it used to have a, if you guys were wondering where the, I actually remember this now. The reason why this has a brass or a sort of a copper colored loop here is because this used to have a copper colored clip. But that got smashed into the back of here. You might even be able to see some remnants of where it got squished down there, like really big nicks. But here, I think still works beautifully. This is still my go-to when I want to do stuff in the garage with, like, when I fix my car or we're doing any sort of heavier work around here. Now it's going to be this guy. A little bit longer, a little bit more leverage. We got more blades in there, because if you're truly, say if you're breaking down cardboards that are corrugate, if you're breaking down corrugate, if you talk with the guys in the factory, it's not cardboard, it's corrugate. That's basically when there's multiple plies of cardboard. You really do need that leverage, and you blast through blades. So this is going to be my heavy lifter at home, you know, for actual work, whereas this is going to be my, this is and it has already been my EDC. So questions, comments, throw them down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll hopefully hit that like button, and we'll see you in the future ones. If you're up for pens, there should be some coming, maybe not this week, maybe, depends on shipping, but soon TM. And otherwise, if you're into the tools, there's going to be a massive haul because of the holiday season, and all of that's going to get used. So it's one of those things where you've been talking about, oh, it'd be great if we had this tool. I could do that if only we had this tool. To finally, like, fucking order the tool, and it was free. Free tools are always great. Have a good one as always, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.